Hi, and welcome to another instructional video for CSCI 1300. In this video, we will cover the use of input commands through the cin operator. We're going to create a program called bottles.cpp, which I have just saved, and I'm going to write and encourage you to code along with me. Of course, I will have to do includes, just like with any program. And I will use the standard namespace. I'm going to throw in a main and set up my return 0 ahead of time. And I will now ask to generate a program for gathering information from the user. And what that means is that we're going to be declaring some variables to store some information that we will get and process through the command line from read and write activities from the person using the program. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a storage location for whatever the user inputs. And in this example, we're going to be keeping track of some number of items. And in this case, we're going to keep track of bottles. So in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a prompt for the user to please enter the number of bottles. And what I will do is I will not use an inline here. And the reason why is because I want to display this option to the user and then have the prompt to enter that information on the same line instead of on separate lines. So now what I'm going to do is, since the cout prints out of your screen with the carets facing outwards, out of the window, we're going to use the opposite of the cout now to gather that input from the user. That is done through the use of the cin command. The cin command uses the opposite operators for the cout, so it will point in towards your code or in towards the variable, which will be the destination of that user-defined input. So in this case, we're going to use cin and place the information into bottles, which is a variable, an integer variable. If we wanted to do this for another type of variable, we could. And we'd probably have to declare that as well. So let's declare another variable called cans. And here we will do the same thing, where we will ask for the number of cans on the same line. Now what we will do is we will print out the number of bottles, which will be in the bottles variable. And the number of cans, which should be stored in the cans variable. Let's go ahead and compile our code. And you can see here that we're being prompted on the same line to enter the number of bottles as the cout statement on line 8. So lines 8 and lines 9 are working together here, and we're going to type in 10 bottles. There's 10 bottles. And how many cans on there? Let's see. Let's say that there's 15 cans. And you can see here that the number of bottles we entered is 10. So that is stored within the variable bottles. And the number of cans we entered is 15. 15 is stored within the variable cans. And we're printing that information back to the user in a chained cout command. A couple of things to note is that we could actually do this all in the same line if we wanted to. So for instance, what we could do is we could prompt the user to please enter the number of bottles followed by the number of cans. And what we can do now is we can cin bottles and then cn cans after the fact. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to ask for that input on the same line at the same time. So if we recompile, you can see that our prompt has changed. We're going to type in 10 for the number of bottles, and then we're going to type in 15 for the number of cans. And you can see here that even if I pressed enter, it's still going to recognize the same number of bottles and cans. And if I compile again and I check just to see if I press 10 space 15, you can see that it still recognizes the difference between the two variables and stores the information accordingly in the bottles and cans variables based on the order in which they are input by the user. That's all for now on inputting commands. Thanks and happy coding!